What's going on, everybody? This is episode 37 of The Next Block. We've got JT here. We've got Crypto for Change. We've got C. Will. How you all doing today?
Doing good.
I'm well.
Nice. It's excited to have the whole crew here because David, you've been out for the last two episodes. C. Will, you're in Hawaii right now, so we're all over the place. You just moved, David, so it's exciting to be all here back for episode 37 of The Next Block.
Yeah, I mean, definitely new getting in. Obviously, you can tell by my amazing decor behind me that we are still obviously moving in. It's funny, we lived in a very, very, very small apartment before, so we have no dining room, no living room furniture. So, get to do the fun stuff of going out and shopping soon. So, had a lot of fun. And of course, we live right across from the beach now. Of course, I know, Will, you're out in Hawaii, so you're getting that. I got my beach colors on. I got an amazing... Yeah, I got an amazing Christmas present. I don't know what you guys got, but I got an amazing one. I got my beer here, and I got my flip flop. Oh, wow. The bottle opener on the bottom. So,
That's
ready for the beach life for sure.
That's amazing. Hey, I got this shirt. I mean, so I'm wearing that. Not as cool as that though. That was fun.
Yeah, my gift was. Go ahead. No, I was saying my gift was that I finally got to make it to Hawaii because I was supposed to be here on Christmas Eve, but the plane got delayed because of the storms out there in the mainland. So,
yeah.
So my gift was just being here.
Well, definitely glad you were able to make it out there. Yeah, dude. So what's going on over there in the chat? I know Dennis is here. We've got Algo Nice. We've got Don. Thanks for tuning in. We've got a bunch to talk about today. We're going to talk about Algorand. We're going to talk about the markets. We're going to talk about SBF, China, and the whole nine. So let us know what you guys are seeing out there in the chats, and let's get this show on the road. Did you guys buy this dip, this Algorand dip?
So funny. See, I got a funny story. The chat will probably like this. So obviously, I make a lot of big buys, or not a lot of big buys. I act like I got a lot of money. When I make my buys, whenever I make my biggest buys, right, the market always goes down. So I made a buy at like 16 cents for like 3,500, and I was just going to test. I was like, you know what? I bought it. Let me sell some of it real quick and just see what happens to the market. Obviously, once the Matrix knew I sold it, everything went up. So, I haven't bought back in a lot. I did buy like, out of that big buy, a decent chunk of it was Algo, but still sitting in about 50-50 with stable and Algo right now. But obviously it's had a nice little, 20% run since the 16-cent low. I still believe that we are going to see lower at some point. But I do think, like you were kind of showing in the Discord, where you do your technical analysis, JT, I do think we're in for a relief rally. Don't know how high that's going to go. I think 21 cents is definitely doable. And I know you were a little bullish that maybe we see a pop up to near 40 like we did before. But I guarantee you this, if we see something like that, Binance collapsing or something's probably going to be on the other side. We're going to go down to Goblin Town again. I'm just, maybe the bear market has really got to me, but what are your all's thoughts?
I'll say the bear market has gotten to me. No, I didn't make any buys recently. I'm just, building and watching right now. It does look good to see some green on there. I saw your charts as well, JT. It's kind of exciting for whoever's out there trading. I know they're very excited. I still like that FXDX platform.
Okay.
So I'm looking to get back into some long and some short and very soon.
Did you hear the news? They just paused their platform, and they're going to be building on Optimism and building out like supposedly a second FXDX platform, a V2 for Algorand. But they basically paused the whole thing today, and they said they're gonna, anybody that had like longs or shorts open, they're gonna pay them out. So because like there's people that can't close their positions right now.
Dang.
So we got to remove our liquidity.
Probably.
Yeah, and you should hit up FX. You should message FXDX for sure.
Yeah,
okay.
I would agree.
Y'all tell me I'm out.
And
we saw Deradex.
Yeah, I agree with Dennis. Go for Deradex. Definitely check out Deradex. I've actually got it pulled up right here because we were gonna, if we had time, make a mention of them, but might as well do it right now because the timing does seem right. So Deradex is live now on mainnet. It's an on-chain derivatives platform on Algorand, and you can find it at deradex.org. I actually haven't tested it out yet, so we're kind of seeing it together for the first time, and it looks pretty sleek. I like the way this looks already.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to try some of that. I didn't feel confident with FXDX because of some of the FUD that kind of when it launched, and I know that people were still able to use it, but there were some things that happened that people. I don't really know if people really lost funds, but it was just one of those things where when Algorand first launched, if anything was popping off, Yieldly or anything, we were just using it just because we wanted to see that and grow. I am, especially during the bear market, I am way more vigilant in using things that I actually feel are safe for my funds, right? Especially that's the biggest thing I feel like this bear market's taught us: not your keys, not your coin. So making sure it's a truly decentralized, marketplace or platform, and it's not something where I feel that risk. So hey, we got the Recoup joining in.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy New Year to you as well, Coop. Appreciate that. And yeah, I'm actually really excited about Daradex. And I haven't been using leverage for most of this bear market, but I am actually using some on this most recent dip. So I bought in around 0.175, so about half a cent more than 17-cent algo. But I didn't use FXDX or Daradex. I just did it the old-fashioned way where I supplied algo to AlgoFi, and then I borrowed some USDC, bought more algo. So it's probably all in all maybe like 2x leverage that way, as opposed to this platform where you can do 5, 10. I'm not sure how high the leverage goes on this platform, but I know FXDX had all the way upwards of 30x.
30, yeah.
You
can get.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like
this to do. No, saying longs and short on AlgoFi, like you said, 2x are way safer and a lot more easier to control.
Right.
Than leverage,
because you can always just add collateral, and you don't have as much. If you're wrong, obviously you can, because there's been sometimes I'm wrong, and I kind of let it play out a little bit longer, and then it ends up turning right. Whereas if you're doing on an actual, like 30x or 25x, that's where it's hard. My shirt, this is actually I've had this for a long time, Coop, but me and my wife moved to the beach. We're right across the street now, as you can tell with the new backdrop of us moving in. So loving the beach life.
Yeah, and for anybody that
place look nice.
For anybody that watches this channel, but for some reason hasn't watched the Recoup, I mean, Cooper is known for his beach-like shirts. Definitely go check out the Recoup if you haven't.
He needs to send me some. You need to. I'm a size medium, although I don't. Yeah, probably a size medium, but definitely not a large.
Yeah, I mean, if we're sending shirts all around, I'll take a medium as well. All right, fellas. So should we move on to a little bit of Algorand news? So Algorand recently processed about 1 billion transactions. Was that right? Not all at once, obviously, but just cumulative since its launch. So boom, here it is. Algorand reaches 1 billion processed transactions. Wednesday, the Algorand Foundation announced via Twitter that had reached a new milestone. So what do we think about this? I actually don't know in comparison how many transactions other popular blockchains have had. I don't know if this is a feat that maybe many others haven't reached already, or if this is something that others have reached and we're finally reaching. I'm not sure if you guys know that information.
That's what I was about to go look up. I feel like I've seen Michael Jordan share a tweet showing like how fast certain blockchains have reached certain milestones. Right. Obviously it's good to see Algorand hitting a milestone like this, especially with no downtime. And even they touted, I think Stacy sent out a tweet saying that we hit like 14,000 TPS. Now that's not smart contract TP. I don't know. It's not like I don't know. I saw some tweets saying like it maybe isn't a true TPS. Almost kind of like how Solana does, includes messaging from nodes into theirs. But it's cool to see Algorand's transactions per second growing, them being able to experiment. Obviously, we got the boost to 6,000 TPS at the end of last year. So it's all good things, but kind of like I tweeted out to John Allen Woods and said, like, what's Algorand's goals for next year? Like actual real TPS, because right now a lot of it's Planet Watch, a lot of it's it's not what we would expect to see from a chain that has so much of the tech advantage, right? You would expect to see more people using it, especially with the partnerships with FIFA and even if it's like Climate Ride and all these other things that they're spending money on, right? You would expect to see real verifiable transactions and activity from those things, and we're just not. So I think that's what I'm more excited about, is seeing them actually use those partnerships. And even John Elwood said the goal was maybe like to get to 50 transactions per second, on a normal basis, instead of seeing these like high spikes, kind of touting it like, oh, look what we can do. But then literally right after that, it reverts back down to, where we're at right now.
Right. And it should be noted that that although that we can do a lot of TPS, or Algorand can, for I'll say that I think we're averaging like 12 to 13 transactions per second on on the longer term scale, but that's actually on par with chains like Ethereum that have been around for a long time. So obviously we do want it to be higher. We want to see that throughput being used, but not for nothing. It should be said that it's still kind of a feat in and of itself that it's matching the transactions per day that a big chain like Ethereum is doing. So it's certainly ways to go. Anything to add to this conversation about the transactions? Looks like we kind of got it all right there.
But I want to say, wasn't there something else from Algorand specific?
Alchemon did 500,000 transactions.
Oh, yeah, they're up.
Shout out to them. So we know those transactions are real.
Right. Yeah, and it's not like Planet Watch transactions aren't real. It's just like they're all coming from sensors, and it's it's just like the only thing that's been propping up the transactions for the chain for a while.
But it still shows that if a real world business does put their transactions and their activity on chain,
it would be reliable for years.
Exactly.
As it has been.
And that's what you could see from Planet Watch. So like I'm looking at the thing they made, partnership they made with the Bank of Italy and doing the remittances for the bonds and whatnot and all that. Like I have no idea, that market. I don't know what that looks like, but you would expect to see a lot of transactions and a lot of volume happening once that actually launches. Now I know that's not until maybe end of Q1 2023, but I'm hopeful that we actually can see that. And
I would think honestly maybe longer. I mean, I think bodies like that tend to move pretty slow, so it wouldn't shock me if it was good 12 months before that partnership was actually realized.
I could be wrong, but I was under the impression by, with John Allen Wood's tweets and certain other ones who tweeted about it, that it's actually something in the articles that it's meant to go live 2020, like early Q1 or Q2 of 2023. So
that'd be sweet. I'd love to be wrong. The few times it's good to be wrong is something like that. What are you guys' plans for governance? You guys have a governance plan for period 6?
So this is where I don't know what to do, because here's like, obviously hindsight's always 2020. I'm going to make probably like 2,000 algo off of this period's governance for just passively doing nothing and voting. Like I get it. That's not a lot of work to earn 2,000 algo. Now, obviously 2,000 algo now is not that much money, but 2,000 algo last year, that's a lot. That's quite a bit of money to make for 3 months. And all you did was vote. So I get that part of it. There's definitely part of me that wants to try to be more aggressive in 2023 in swing trading. So part of me wants to, have a smaller bag in governance and actually try to use platforms like Daradex, try to be more in on Rand Gallery and some of these NFT marketplaces and flipping some of these NFTs that are popping off. I mean, I was telling you guys, like, I don't think it was on our show, but a few months ago, like, when we were at 40 cents and starting to fall, I was like, maybe this is the best time to start buying some Mingos and buying some, crazy goose flocks, saying that, like, as the market goes down, those floors are going to rise. And look, Mingo's floor went from like 900 to over 3,000. Crazy goose now is starting to run with the long boys and stuff. So, there's definitely more money to be made outside of governance. But I do like the security of just knowing that passively, okay, I'm going to earn something for just voting. I'll also say, for me at least, that I feel the governance is taking a lot longer to get to really make it feel like we actually have a voice. Like I don't feel a part of Algorand in that part. I mean, yes, we get to vote on stuff, but it's things proposed by the foundation. And yes, I guess there's some discourse between the foundation and the people. But right now, Algorand just seems, especially even coming out of Decipher, it just still seems too much like a traditional business, right? Stacy's at the top. Or you put Sylvia up there, but as far as like the voice goes, Stacy's at the top. She makes all the decisions and they trickle down. And then we get to vote on the things after they've already discussed them. And I hope to see, more transparency and actually like seeing where they're putting the funds so that we can vote on like, hey, should we put 35 million into something like this? Should we put 15 million into climate rides? Should we put, like, why aren't we voting on those things? Why are we voting on things that seem nice and I will say they do show off the ability of Algorand as a chain to help show governance, right? It works. Like that's the thing, but it's not real governance. Like we're not really governing the platform is my take. So I know that's a lot, but I've been gone in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I haven't been on here. So
Go ahead, David. But I'll add to that, and I agree with you. For me, as of now, too, my governance bag will be very small because this year my main focus is on trading as well and doing whether it's stocks or crypto. I'm more focused on that. And I feel like, as you said, you could get a better yield swing trading or even farming for a periods of time. And I have worries with the governance as well, too. First of all, have we been paid out on rewards right now?
Not yet. And
January
it's so
6th.
sad.
January
Okay, that's
6th
what I'm saying.
is when they're
Like
supposed to
stuff
be
like
paid out.
that, it's like things are really being delayed. I was just in the Algo Fam tour space on Sunday. We were also talking about governance, and I'm like agreeing with you 100%, David. There's a lot of concern there for me because like the last measures were more of how much should we spend on NFTs, 300K or 600K. It wasn't even no abstain. There was no, no there. There wasn't nothing. It was pretty much someone at the foundation made these decisions and we just have to kind of live there. And then I just don't like being delayed too much as well. And that bothers me.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, I know we've discussed this, I think, every single governance period, but, the distribution of the algos should be in a smart contract, right? It should, once governance is done, boom, rewards should be sent out. Like, it shouldn't be this thing where someone has to, it's almost like a bank, right? Someone's got to come in and turn and actually push the buttons to send out the ACHs, right? And that it's so frustrating. Like this holiday weekend, oh my gosh. Like it
just use the tech.
Yeah, it made me so bad want to see crypto and blockchain move faster than ever because we moved money last Friday and we didn't see it hit its spot until Tuesday. That's so ridiculous because even though, Monday's not a holiday, right? But the federal government, because it fell on a Sunday or on a Saturday, they're observing it. And so then it's just, you get all this stuff of, just money moving so slow. And I'm like, man, if money could move as fast as Algorand would allow, I mean, I know it's not at the scale for a global type takeover just yet, but it's getting there, right? I mean, if we could really do 15,000 TPS like John Allen Woods was showing, I mean, that would be massive. And it would be so amazing to know that you can move money anywhere within your own banks, your own credit, and all that stuff without having to go to a bank, go to these people and say, hey, I want to move money, right? Shouldn't be that way.
Right.
Facts.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then I know they said that January 6th, they'll send out the money, but why? You're absolutely right. Why is it not in a smart contract? Why are they not utilizing the tech? And honestly, why are they not taking a page out of AlgoFi's book? Because, look at all of these different proposals people have been able to create and vote on and execute in such a short amount of time. I mean, like this started at the end of October, I believe. So it's only been like 2 months and there's so many votes. There are so many things that are already executed or in the process of being executed. It's honestly really impressive what they've been able to pull off. And they're just a small application that, it's just using the resources that they have versus Algorand that has all the resources available to them, in reality, at least in comparison to some of these applications that are seemingly doing governance better than they are.
And it's because, like, I'll say this, it's because you feel like if you fill a room, right, and you feel the leadership at the top of the Algorand Foundation or even at the Inc. with people who come from a business model that is the banking system, how do you expect change to really happen? And this isn't a knock on Stacey. I know she's got maybe some innovative ideas. I don't know her personally, but I mean, she came from where? The banking system. What is her whole system. Like, even before that, the businesses she had. So it's like to really see innovation, you have to do something different. And I feel like be from a different perspective and be from somewhere different. And that's why you have so many of these projects that are building that, a lot of these people didn't work in banks. They didn't work in maybe they worked in a traditional model where you have a CEO and it trickles down. But I love what AlgoFi is doing. I love what Folks Finance is doing. I love what the community is building everywhere. Like there's so many things popping off on Algorand. And that's also why it's just so bullish on what Algorand's doing. The ecosystem is growing like crazy. And that's what people need to be excited about,
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And to answer the question, because I never actually answered for me, I'll be doing governance. I don't know if I'll stay in governance completely, but you might as well commit. And if you find a better play a month into it, then there's no harm or foul if you just uncommit. So I'm going to commit in the beginning and I'm going to use all 3 platforms. Because actually what I did last period was not follow my own advice. And, I've said many times over the course of governance that you should split up your bag into like 2 or 3 different bags. So if you have to pull from one, you're not canceling out your entire stash and not getting any rewards. I didn't listen to myself. I consolidated basically to one stash, and I needed that liquidity at one point. So I dipped into it and was ineligible for last governance period. So this time I'm going to, follow my own advice that I've done most of the other times except last period, and commit some on Folks Finance, commit some on AlgoFi, and some on Guard. And that way, if I need to dip into any certain point, whether I see a good trade or I just need the liquidity for personal reasons, I can just pull from one of the 3 sources and not have to, be too concerned that I'm not going to get my rewards elsewhere.
Yeah, I definitely love, still seeing the governance model grow, but so many of the things I feel like that could be done faster and better. And I feel like it's almost dumb, right? Why? I don't know if this is a human thing, but like, why do we feel like we see something and it's not working, but we're like, but we can't just radically change it. We have to slowly like continue the same thing. Like literally the foundation has 100% control to destroy this idea that for, however many weeks at the start of governance, we're doing nothing. We vote for 2 weeks and then we're doing nothing for the rest of the time.
For 2
Why are
months.
we wasting all that time? Like we can change that now, and it can be voted on way quicker. I mean, AlgoFi shows that. So yeah, my frustrations with the whole governance thing, and like it's almost like it does show off that governance can work on a blockchain, and I like that, and it shows Algorand in a good light there. But as far as like actually believing that the foundation wants decentralization and wants the people to have a good voice, I mean, that's just not there.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Go for it, Sibo.
No, I was saying, I said this other day, if you go check out Cosmos ecosystem with like Kepler wallet and all that. So exactly what AlgoFi is basically doing, they're doing it in the wallet. And I'm like, how is it that we can't just directly do governance from the Para wallet, without leaving? And I know there is an update. We haven't talked about it yet. So maybe this governance parents, we could. A Para wallet has a new browser on there. So I'm not sure. That might help. But I think, again, it should be streamlined. And what are we doing voting one time in 3 months? It doesn't make sense.
And Bad Tax even put it in the comments. Massimo thinks so too, and he wants faster governance too. But like even saying that, I feel like is part of the problem. That Massimo,
how can he not do it?
Right? Exactly. Why aren't we making these changes? If the foundation wants these changes and they hear it from the community, but they're not making them, why? And that's where that's where the red flags start to really pop up in my head. And I think to myself, like, when I first joined governance and we all joined it, like you felt a part of Algorand's growth, right? It was like, oh my gosh, we are a part of governing Algorand. And now we kind of see, okay, the Algorand Foundation is just kind of giving us some things to vote on while we lock up our algos. And honestly, we're missing out on so much money that we could be making flipping NFTs, trading on exchanges, on decentralized exchanges and farming and all this stuff. I mean, to an extent.
Yeah, in my opinion, I agree with you that it's kind of a fake democracy. And if it's going to be a legit governance, you might as well do it the right way, because doing it the way we're doing it right now, we're just increasing algo distribution to wallets that are basically holding it passively. So basically we're inflating algo for essentially just like make-believe democracy. I have no issue with inflating the Algorand token supply if it's actually being in a useful process. But you're absolutely right. I mean, people, it's kind of, in a way, I don't want to get too political, but it's kind of like the presidential elections. The parties just pick whoever's going to run for the general election, and then you have to vote between one or two. Options. You don't have that option of picking somebody outside of the bubble that's already been established for you. Yeah. And that we saw that on full display in the last last round of votes, because as Sewell mentioned, I mean, there was no option to vote no on anything. It was already decided that we were going to give money. It was just up to us on how much, which is like, okay, that's not really a real vote, honestly. You guys might as well just decided that for us as well. So I do hope that the I mean,
it's so true though,
because it's just like a pretend, especially at certain limits. It's like 300,000 or 600,000 algo, not even dollar, just algo. So like even that's kind of just. But regardless, that's for another topic.
Leave a comment, leave a yes in chat if you agree with what we're saying here.
I do hope the XGov process
in chat
helps us a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see.
And I'll even say this: so much of the rewards, right, are still going to where? Coinbase, right? The big exchanges who are taking everybody. I mean, still paying out 6%. I will say Coinbase has bumped up. I think at one point they were nothing. Then they came back to 4%. Now they're like, or at least mine, because I think I have Coinbase One or whatever it is. Like mine is like 6.25. So like that's a decent chunk of it. But they're still, who knows what they're doing with the algo they earn once governance ends. They could just dump it, right? They could just see it as like, money to us, dump it, and let's go invest that money somewhere else. So I just feel like, more people using Algorand, and we had this has been an ongoing thing for governance, is more money from rewards should either be incentivized to node runners or should be incentivized to DeFi users and people who are actually using the network, not just these big, centralized VCs or exchanges farming algo and then selling it on the secondary.
So my understanding, please someone correct me if you know about this. I hear that the Algorand Inc. has been farming in governance.
I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't have any sources there, but can you elaborate on who you heard this? I
was one of it was one of those. It was one of those fudders on Twitter. I was looking at
fudders on Twitter.
Yeah, one of the fudders on Twitter. Fudders are usually pretty accurate when they fudding. But I'll just leave it at that then.
Yeah. So sometimes people come in my Twitter DMs and are like, man, like, they'll send me a tweet from someone who's like saying something negative about algo. And I'm like, you do realize that like you go click on this person's profile, it could be any of them. There's so many of them. I don't know. There's some people who actually do put out genuine like information just to help you make a decision. But a lot of it is FUD. And it's like, they got 10 followers, maybe 20. They're following like 30. Like you do realize this is probably people's alt accounts where they're bearish as heck and they're just shorting algo and they're just trying to spread FUD. They're trying to make you sell just so they can increase the gains they're going to make in the short. It's the same thing that happens in a bull market, right? Because once the bull market comes, you're going to see everybody, all the moon boys coming out, right? We're going to 100K, for Bitcoin. We're going to this, we're going to that. They know it's probably not going to happen, but if they overestimate and they make you believe it so that you long and then they take profit, who's left holding the bag? You are. So just, block out Twitter, block out the noise. Like, if you get your investment thesis and your investment ideas from Twitter, like, I don't know, like you're probably going to get wrecked.
Well, I mean, I'll say everything's a tool. So it's really all about who you follow and what information that how good you are at deciphering, those types of people from, people that actually have good faith arguments. But I want to move back. Actually,
good. I don't want to say everybody's bad, but I'm just saying I was mainly meaning like the accounts that like you have no idea where they come from, and they're just tweeting out random stuff. Like I made a post a couple of days ago, and like these two guys were going at it for like 30 minutes in the replies, and I'm like,
oh man, I muted that thing.
Oh, yeah, it's like that. Yeah, I was like,
you do realize this is an engagement farming tweet. And like
it worked.
It's not like exactly, but I'm not like I don't believe 100%. I think it was something dumb like Algorand was up 4%. I'm like, all right, bear market's done. Here we go. And then everybody was like, and then they were jumping on having this serious discussion about Algorand's failure points, and this guy's rebuttaling. I'm just like, this is so funny.
I was impressed with how it just was like two of them at the end, and they would not quit. I was actually impressed at the tenacity. I mean, it was
at
just
that
like
point,
it was just persistence, man.
At that point, it makes me wonder how many of these accounts out here are like AI, and AI is just learning how to argue, and like you could just keep going on and on and on, and AI is just going to keep answering. It makes me think that.
I'd go do something for an hour or two. I'd come back. I'm like, still, man? Like, wow.
Yeah, I was looking at it all day. I was like, they're crazy. Because it's one of them things. It's like, who forced y'all to buy this stuff?
Right. Just, I mean, yeah, that's in the end of the day, like if you really, really, really are like that pessimistic, just drop your bag and go somewhere else. So there are other opportunities. Like that's the great thing about markets is like they're full of opportunities. You just have to go find them,
Always.
If you don't think the one you're holding is a good opportunity, time to cut your losses and move on to one that you do think is a good opportunity.
Yeah, ChatGPT. That's what I was thinking. It might be something like AI like that like almost doesn't even sound like it's an AI. It literally can sound like it's a real person responding to you. Let's get into some of the news of outside of just Algorand that's going on. What do you guys want to talk about first?
Yeah, let's
hit the rest of those news on the list.
Yeah, let's hit China. Let's go with China first. All right, this is a really interesting one for me. So
it's huge.
I'm not sure if it's big, but it's like Is it actually though? Like that's the thing. So China to launch a state-run NFT marketplace, and although the country banned crypto last year, non-fungible tokens are widely accepted. So this at first glance seems pretty bullish, but the more you dig into it, let's see, the platform.
It's control.
The platform will not feature Bitcoin or Ethereum options, a major constraint. So basically, on January 1st, Beijing will launch a ceremony unveiling the new marketplace that will be backed by the government-funded China Technology Exchange and China Cultural Relics Exchange Center and the private company Huban Digital Copyright Service Center, blah, blah, blah. So among the key tradable assets on the new blockchain, known as the China Cultural Protection Chain, so this is China's own blockchain called the China Cultural Protection Chain, which is intense.
Control protection chain.
Will be digital copyrights, property rights, and NFTs. The platform will also integrate a metaverse, and the protection chain also includes registration for NFTs and crypto. Yeah, crypto. That should be in like asterisks, and rights confirmation for digital assets. So basically, this is going to be a China blockchain in which only the assets China wants on that chain will exist on that chain.
Yeah, and it's,
well, let's
it's
talk
just
about it.
Yeah,
I've been covering CBDCs for a while, and this is no surprise that China is going to use their own blockchain, their own infrastructure. Because my thing too is like with China, the way they do like to control and keep everything in their world power. Why would they use an American-made or so-called blockchain like Algorand? That would be my question in the very beginning. Is like, why would they? Especially China. But yeah, I think this is bullish though at the same time, because what they're also saying is that digital collectibles and the other things that they're doing is legit.
Yeah,
they just wanted to control it. That's it.
Yeah,
right.
They don't want.
They have their hands on it.
They don't want, and China's always been this way. They don't want the speculation of the secondary market. They don't want people to be able to make a profit. I mean, not make a profit, but because it's also we don't know the rights of these artists and what they're going to be able to earn from whatever is being created. I will say as well, if you read on another article that was out there, this is pretty much backed by the 4 tech giants: Tencent, Ant, Baidu, and JD. So you're looking at look at America, right? America's run by Facebook, the tech giants, Google, Amazon, and stuff over here, and so much goes through it. It's the same thing happening over there. It's just, I would definitely say, way more centralized and way more controlled. But yeah, you have 4 tech giants that are going to be behind this platform. Tencent obviously is huge in the gaming, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of esports teams that are going to be creating content on here, but it is going to be very limited on what you're able to do with that on the secondary.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, I'm dropping NFTs on that China blockchain.
If you can even get in, I bet it's firewall.
It's going to be geographical.
I just get I don't know. I don't like state actors using the word blockchain if they're talking about a centralized server. It's just basically a database that they're running at this point. It's like the point of blockchain is to be distributed. So if it's state owned, it's just going to be a China server, basically China database. I don't really know if it's like actual blockchain technology in that sense.
If you want to, because it is, I'll say it's like it is blockchain, because I still consider CBDC. It's like just a controlled blockchain,
Right. I want to answer Christian's comment first, and obviously this might come from I'm not a super big conspiracy theorist, but I do think some things. But would you all consider CBDCs to be cryptocurrency? In my mind, crypto is supposed to be permissionless and decentralized. CBDCs are the exact opposite. I feel like in the world to come, or in the financial world to come, you're going to have just like you do now. You have people who are free, and you have people who are slaves, right? People, certain people are slaves to, we all see slavery in a different way, but it used to be, you just saw it as, someone owning you, right? They still own you, right? The banks own you. They own you because you got a mortgage, you got a car payment, you got all this stuff that you owe them, that you go and work, but none of that money, the second that money hits your bank account, every single dollar is going to somebody else, right? And so CBDCs, that gives them even more control to then tell you not only do you still owe them? But then they can tell you where you can even spend it. So then that's going to destroy so much freedom in the free marketplace, right? Or it's going to try. But I do believe, and this is my hope really, is that there is a big enough movement in the decentralization of cryptocurrency that I don't know if it's Bitcoin, right? I don't know if it's Ethereum. I don't know exactly what chain is going to do it, but I do hope there is a chain that is truly decentralized where people who want to opt out of this, kind of authoritarian type of system that's going to control so much can actually interact with each other in a free way on a free market. Because that's what makes, I would say, America good in some ways is the free market. But CBDCs are going to be, man, they are going to do some damage, but for a lot of people, they ain't even going to notice, right? They're going to still do the same thing they've been doing all the time. And to an extent, who knows, there may even be a living wage you see introduced sometime. I thought COVID was a test pilot on that, was sending out those $600 checks every 2 weeks. I was like, that just seems weird. The government's never done this. I mean, imagine how fast people could get payments on a CBDC on a chain like Algorand. 3 seconds, they can send out payments, and it could be a US dollar central bank digital currency, and you can only spend it at Publix, Kroger, Walmart, Amazon, approved.
Well, think about this. If you look at the US, right, food stamp cards and things of that nature, they are already served that purpose. They can only serve one way in one direction. And then when you look, I forgot what year it was, but at one point in the US, we paid our taxes later. Then they was like, okay, we got to get the money right now. So they made our jobs give the tax money to them first before we give it to them. So this process has already been happening, and the people will accept it. It's going to be easy, I believe. And then we're just scared of what China's doing, but we do forget America is pretty much still doing the same stuff. All our money is controlled in Congress. I was just watching them yesterday, in their third round trying to elect the Speaker of the House. They all want that position so they can be the next Pelosi, to be a massive stock
orchestrate
trader.
Everything behind the scenes. Be like,
so
you go up. I bought that last week.
So then to go pull this all back together, it still appears to me that Bitcoin is the only true cryptocurrency. Everything else is a centralized entity. If you look at it based on nodes, even Algorand, we can track their nodes list. So if you can't easily set up and use it like how we can with Bitcoin, it hasn't been issued by one company or one organization. So I would still say Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency, and everything else is, as they say, altcoins.
I would say this, Justin Bonds, I know he's kind of like come on the scene, and I don't know if you've read a lot of his threads, but he's actually made me think a lot more about, questioning Bitcoin and just a lot of its centralized aspects. I'm not saying it's not a great thing. I'm not saying it's not decentralized in the fact of holders.
They do have a lot of centralization too.
Yeah. But there's just it gets so confusing, right? You have so many forks of Bitcoin, you have so many forks of Ethereum now. I mean, it really does get to the point where can we truly have a decentralized cryptocurrency that doesn't fork and doesn't do all these other different things? Because when certain people are in control, they may want it to go a certain way, and then when someone else gains control, they may want it to go a certain way. But that's not bad either. You should be able to technically vote and help change the system, especially if it's like Ethereum moving to proof of stake, if you can buy up the most stake.
Yeah, and there's a lot to unpack there, but the way I see it is talking about decentralization and what is and isn't decentralized is always tough, because there isn't a clear-cut definition of what decentralization even means. Like, there isn't a piece of paper you could pull up that's like, decentralization means this many nodes spread across this big of a geographic area and blah, blah, blah. There's no like true cut definition. So basically we're just on a spectrum of decentralized, centralized. Some are more decentralized by some people's opinions of what decentralized mean, and some are more centralized. But a state-run blockchain system like this is going to be far more centralized than the most centralized blockchains that we've seen out there. And to answer the question about CBDCs, I wouldn't call them cryptos. And personally, I actually tremendously worry about a US rendition of a CBDC. I don't really like the idea and the push I'm seeing to get rid of cash and change us into a completely digital economy, and then use CBDCs in place of the type of dollar system we have now. Because the digital money can be controlled somewhat, but it's private actors that are controlling it. It's like Visa or a bank or what have you. as opposed to direct control from the government. I personally am not a fan of that. I believe it opens up the doorway to dystopian things. I know a lot of chains are trying to be the chain that has the CBDC on it, but I don't know. The push to it worries me, and I don't want to get too political, but this is an article from October 8th of 2021 written by NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden, called "Your Money and Your Life: Central Bank Digital Currencies Will Ransom Our Future." It's on his Substack. I suggest reading it. I think it's a really, really, really good write-up. I'm not going to go over what it is. I just want to
drop it in the chat. Quick. Yeah, drop it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll drop it in the chat. That way people can go find it.
Yeah. So let's jump on to the next one of the next topics: Ukrainian pharmacies enabling, a lot of Binance crypto payments. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's pop this up real quick. Yeah, so Ukrainian pharmacies enable crypto payments via Binance Pay, which is pretty sweet. So Ukraine continues adopting cryptocurrency payments with crypto exchange Binance amid the ongoing war in Russia. Pharmacies in Ukraine are embracing digital payments amid the ongoing war, with a major local chain enabling payments in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. ANC Pharmacy, one of the biggest pharmacy chains in the country, has partnered with Binance Ukraine to debut cryptocurrency payments via contactless crypto payment service Binance Pay. ANC Pharmacy is actually really huge. The pharmacy chain operates more than 1,000 pharmacies across Ukraine, running its own online pharmacy service. And according to the announcements, Binance Pay payments will be initially rolled out in Kiev.
So I will say you did skip over just one quick thing there, where it just says it's now enabling its customers proceed with instant payments while purchasing pharmacy products online. So I do believe this is only online. So that is something maybe to consider. I don't know how much of their revenue comes from online versus how much comes from in person, like people actually going to the stores. But that could be a big thing. I just kind of saw that and was on, and it made me think, if I went to do deeper DD, like how much of their revenue do they actually get online? But nonetheless, it's still cool to see, bigger giants in different places across the world starting to accept crypto. It's interesting that they chose Binance. I feel like there is so much stuff, just kind of like how there was with FTX. Like we're starting to see a lot of news and a lot of stuff come out with Binance, which, like I said, it makes me wonder, because I do believe Binance is very centralized. It makes me wonder if,
I mean, it definitely is.
Binance is centralized.
It's a company though. That's like
exchange. But it makes me wonder if something like them failing is coming down the line. Not saying it would be this bear market. It may be something else that happens way down the line.
That's totally possible. Any centralized entity can fail. I mean, I think it's totally possible. I don't know if I believe all the FUD. I think some of the FUD was kind of thrown back at them by the people on the FTX side. But you know what they say, sometimes when there's smoke, there's fire. So there totally could be some legitimacy to the FUD, but even decentralized applications, any institution, application, business, whatever, can eventually go under, whether that's because of better competition in the market and somebody comes and takes their market share, or whether it's because of bad internal decisions. So people,
I think we have our word messed up as a community. We always saying decentralized, but I think we should be saying open source, because we're all open to use it, but it's actually a central authority behind that damn thing that is actually controlling it. So
yeah, I mean, it depends on what we're talking about, for sure.
Yeah. But Binance, I don't think they're going to honestly have any problems, because Binance, again, they've been around for a long time. They are connected in many countries. They're getting more certifications and whatnot. And it seems to be a lot more transparent. And just looking at, like, comparing Sam Bankman-Fried to CZ seems a lot more seasoned in the game rather than Sam Bankman-Fried. And then it seems like also Canadian, he's from Canada, or his nationality at least. And so I know they're out of Canada, and they seem to be a little bit more legit in their banking than US banking.
Yeah, I personally am not as worried about Binance as I would have been for FTX in the beginning of the when all the stories were coming out before the fallout actually happened, because that's basically the stage we would be at right now, is like all the stories, all the FUD. So I'm certainly not as concerned, and part of it is exactly as you said, they've been around, they've been established for much longer, and personally I think even though there's definitely some legitimacy to some of the shady claims against Binance. CZ knows what he's doing in the space, and he's been around for quite some time. I personally don't think Sam actually knew what he was doing. I think he got really lucky because he was smart enough to be able to make money on arbitrage opportunities, but I don't think he actually understood the crypto space. I think he understood how to make the right trades to make that money through arbitraging, but I really don't think he understood the power mechanics, even the politics of the space. Like there's
hey,
a
Dan
lot
is right.
Right. Yeah. I think he was used, man. I think he got used by so many bad actors.
I feel like, again, his parents were actually the masterminds. I researched on them more, as a lot of us have, like it's those people who put their son up front and they're using their kids. Because also from research, it shows that Sam Bankman-Fried, from what I was reading, he actually isn't that good at arbitrage trading. Clearly. He actually is not a good trader. He worked for a firm for a little while that gave him his, accolades or whatnot. But I'm like, let's pull his trading records up. Again, he has proven what he's done with FTX, that he's not a good trader. You wouldn't call somebody a good trader that loses all this money.
Yeah, but it wasn't through trading, and that was after he left Alameda Research and went to FTX. So I could see how you could build that up, and then kind of go and enjoy the beach parties and the orgies and everything else they were doing, and have it all crumble beneath you. You know what I mean? So I could see. I personally don't doubt that he actually was smart enough to get the momentum rolling in the beginning, but I think he was too dumb to maintain it. You know what I mean? Like once he built that empire, I don't think he was smart enough to maintain that.
Even Dan, saying where they hid the people who gave him bond, who bailed him out. Like there's so much of this. So
I have a theory on one of those.
Go ahead.
I mean, I personally think one of them is Kevin O'Leary.
Oh, it very well could be.
That guaranteed they will stop there. You're right.
I mean, that's just an opinion.
He's the biggest advocate for this guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Here's something that it blows my mind that people don't see, like when stuff like this is happening. I mean, and I think my memory serves me right here, but the whole time that Jeffrey Epstein thing was going on, right, and there was a lot of stuff where it was getting uncovered, right? What the fuck was happening in the news? Do y'all remember?
They weren't paying attention. To
Kanye or something?
No, it wasn't Kanye. You would think it'd be Kanye or something. No, it wasn't Kanye. I'm pretty sure if my memory serves me right, you had a live fucking stream of Johnny Depp and his ex-wife or whatever.
Right.
Every fucking Johnny day Depp in the news.
Amber Heard. Every day.
That was all you literally saw everywhere you went. Twitter, social media, it was always a video. Yet there was nothing. It was like they were just not wanting you to pay attention. And I feel like right now
there's still more coming out of that.
Right, but FTX, I've heard a lot about it, but FTX is the thing that is in everybody's face right now. So in my mind, I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? What is that? What really do we need to be watching right now?
Did you hear the recent news about Epstein from six days ago?
I don't. Maybe I did. Go ahead.
The U.S. Virgin Islands is alleging to okay.
Biden so this was just out there.
All right. So the U.S. Virgin Islands allege J.P. Morgan turned a blind eye to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, and not only that, but they're basically alleging
the lady.
The Attorney General of the U.S. Virgin Islands filed a lawsuit this week against J.P. Morgan Chase, alleging that the banking giant benefited from Jeffrey Epstein's illegal sex trafficking enterprise and helped conceal the ongoing exploitation of women and girls at his property on Little St. James. And you know what happened to that attorney 2 days after she filed? 2 days after she filed this lawsuit against J.P. Morgan, she got fired. Yep.
Where'd Stacey come from? She come from JP.
Yes.
Fuck, get
go
out.
I think.
I know. I don't think she came from
I don't know where she came from. But but that JT right there, that is some big evidence. Anytime a whistleblower gets fired, that usually reveals that they're doing their job correctly and they're really pointing at what's really going on,
Yeah.
Well, this wasn't even a whistleblower. This was a prosecutor that basically got fired for for doing her job, for just bringing forth the lawsuit, which is truly mind blowing to me, honestly.
Yeah.
So that's why bringing this back to the FTX. I know this was a hit because now I can't even say the word crypto or NFT to a person. They just say scam, FTX scam. So now I have to say digital collectibles, digital currencies. You know what I'm saying? Like the language has to be changed because anytime I look on the news, right, it's just scam.
Yeah.
But at the same time, no one says my blockchain stopped working. Algorand's job is to be a digital ledger system, and it's doing that actually more efficiently than it's ever done. So
it's a good point,
right?
Yeah, it's so true.
And then when I look at Spotify, I just want to compare it to them. They stock prices down. There's rumors that they're farming streams because artists that has billions of streams can't sell more than 14,000 records. So that's a sign that something is happening behind the scenes. Yet all over the news, no such thing as a scam there, and their stock is down too. So I think it rounds about that they're just getting ready for CBDCs, or they're pulling control away from us in front of our faces with this media.
They lead with fear, and it's like, just think of it, right? Every single social media, every place, like last summer when everything was pumping high, was like, buy crypto. Crypto is not a scam. It's here to revolutionize the industry. It's going to decentralize. It's going to democratize so many things. It's going to be an amazing thing. And then now when prices are fucking cheap, right, and they're low to the ground, when who's buying? The people, smart money's buying. Smart money's been buying, but definitely buying now. And what do you get? Every day it's FUD. Gemini, we were about to talk about that one. More customers who are still out, $900 million worth of customer funds where, should be paid back, and they're not, right? It's all meant to put this facade that you can't trust crypto. And yet again, whenever the next bull market comes, 2024, 2023, 2025, it's going to flip the script again. And then all the media, all the everything, media is going to be right back on our side, showing the good things that crypto can do. Whereas right now it's just highlighting all the bad things that it's done.
Can I make a two comments? It's not totally about this. Shout out to FXDX. They have just sent my money. So thank y'all for telling me I was on this while we was on. So they have compensated me. So if y'all using the platform, sign up on the ticket in their Discord. They're really chill. They're not scammy or nothing. So I feel very grateful. The second thing I wanted to respond with Dan real quick, because he's been talking about the chat AI. I recommend y'all do not use it, because the chat AI
it's a deep state.
Because what it is this is deeper than social media. It's learning how you write. It's like, so if I write a song, Dan talking about on Twitter, like we put a songs on there, eventually an artist is going to come out and we're going to find out that this artist is a bot. And he's been rapping because he's learned how to rap or write music via all of us trying to write articles and essays, and they're learning right now. And then they're gonna launch, and it's gonna be bad for us. Like,
it's fucking Skynet, man.
Because freelance writers, article writers, I've already read bot articles and I didn't know I read a bot article.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, it's written by a bot. And I'm like, oh my God.
It used to be easy. Like, you'd be on Facebook and we could all laugh because we'd be seeing someone argue in the comments on a Facebook thread being like, you do realize that's a bot. Like, it's obviously a bot. It's no more. They're smart.
Right.
Yeah. So, but
and we're entering the world of deepfakes too. Like,
right. I saw someone said they showed that they created a full-on, like, not real person, and had a Twitter account, and it grew up, or an Instagram or whatever it was account, and grew to massive amounts of followers. And then they just finally came out and said, also, this person doesn't even exist. I was like, oh shit, we done.
Well, check this out.
Humans are fucking done.
If you're talking about how to fake things, like, I'm a big fan of going to the space travel and all that type of stuff. But I go, okay, they must have faked it, because in 50-something years ago, they so-called went to the moon.
Oh, man.
This podcast has fully went full-blown conspiracy.
All right. Thanks for tuning into InfoWars. I really appreciate it.
Dan in the comments is
like and subscribe.
Yes, I am here for it. Let's fucking go.
We'll get back to crypto,
Oh man, that's funny. That's too big of a can of worms to open up in the last 7 minutes of this conversation.
Right. And with that, guys, we leave you. No. Was there anything? There was a few other things. Obviously, 340,000 Gemini earned customers are missing over $900 million in funds.
Yeah, let's switch over to that.
You got Sam Bankman-Fried pleading not guilty, and you also have the Bitcoin developer who lost his wallet, got compromised, or keys, and a lot of his Bitcoin was stolen. So, definitely a lot of things that are still out there that are cool topics to discuss for our last few minutes.
Yeah, let's hit this one real quick. So Gemini's Cameron Winklevoss accuses Genesis boss of stalling on returning $900 million to its customers, escalating their war of words. So let's see. Gemini has accused DCG's Barry Silbert of stalling on repaying Genesis loans. Winklevoss said Genesis, the lending arm of DCG, owes $900 million to the crypto exchange's clients. And Barry Silbert disputed the claims made by Winklevoss in a spat that could again dent faith in crypto post FTX. So kind of piling on to what we were talking about before. But yeah, that's a lot of money. Let's see. So Winklevoss kicked off on Twitter on a Twitter spat by publishing an open letter to Silbert on Monday, claiming DCG and its crypto lending arm Genesis are dragging their heels on a deal. For the past 6 weeks, we have done everything we can to engage with you in good faith and collaborative manner in order to reach a consensual resolution for you to pay back the $900 million that you owe. Wrote Winklevoss, who runs the crypto exchange with his twin brother. So. That's
I think they have a date set for like the 8th or something. Like if you don't return it, or at least in good faith, like start doing something by like the 8th, I think, of January, like I guess something's going to happen. I don't exactly know what's going to happen, but maybe they're going to try to go after them in the courts or something like that. But I mean, it definitely just reassures like my belief in like, you should own your own assets, right? Like that's the whole point of it. That's the whole ethos behind crypto. If you onboard anyone, like if you were watching this video and you onboard anyone to crypto, do not tell them like if you have to buy on a centralized exchange, I get it. I still buy on Coinbase, right? But do the next best thing for that person and show them how to set up a wallet, show them how to self-custody their keys. It's going to get easier, right? The next wave and the next generation of crypto users, I'm sure self-custody is going to be a lot easier. We have things like GoVendable that are building on Algorand and cross-chain. Like there's going to be tons of other cool things that get set up. But even in the meantime, like it just goes to prove that you shouldn't trust any centralized entity with your funds.
The whole point of crypto is to remove the middlemen. So I couldn't agree more, honestly. Like, sure, some of their services are good, but like just in and out, use the service and get back off the platform if you have a service that you want to use that's centralized. Otherwise, like the whole point of these blockchain systems are to remove these middlemen. So why have we created an economy around these middlemen in the crypto space is really beyond me, to be honest.
Yeah, it blows my mind too. And I would say another jewel I'll throw out there, if y'all can, don't put all your crypto into one wallet like the guy that just got robbed from the Bitcoin dev. Try to, try to use 2 wallets maybe. One that's a super hidden maybe, and another one that's somewhere else. That would be my
3.6 million in Bitcoin. Yeah, that's
he had too much money in one wallet, and that's allowed. That's way too low.
Do we have any? Has there been any news? Like, obviously, I've not seen anything that shows exactly how he believes it was lost. But like, is there anything that we've heard since?
I don't know
about,
what
like,
a pretty good privacy key is. I would have to research that, but it seems like that was the issue.
Pretty good. It's not.
Yeah,
really
not good enough, right?
Clearly.
He blamed the hack of his Bitcoin wallet on a compromised PGP, which is a pretty good privacy key. And later in a Reddit discussion, he stated that the attacker's IP came from a Colo Crossing server. I'm not sure if that's a popular server in the space. He was at a loss to explain how his cold wallets were compromised, but he said the last time he'd accessed them was in September.
And he a developer, so I would consider him a high-end user.
Right.
So for the rest of us,
like all the risks and the benefits of it.
Yeah. So I would say just be more cautious, y'all.
Yeah,
absolutely. And definitely, Dan, get a ledger or something like that. But if you're going to buy a ledger or any of these hardware wallets, buy them straight from the company. If you get a third party, whether it's like Amazon or eBay or something, you can't fully trust that it's actually legit. Somebody might have bought it, opened it, messed with the key, or wrote down the key, and then it's just waiting for you to buy it and load your crypto on it. So buy it straight from the source. And also never never type up your passwords, your private keys. Never type them on your computer, and actually don't even like print them out. Just write them on a piece of paper, because if you send them over a Wi-Fi printer, that data actually still exists somewhere as well, and somebody hacks into your computer, they can figure that out. So just write down your private keys on a piece of paper, put it in a filing cabinet or a safety deposit box or your PO box or wherever you want to keep it. Make a couple copies. Well, write down a couple copies of it, and keep those safe.
Kurt Wilson's got a question. Says, so are you guys going to be so against traditional centralized exchanges when they get into crypto? I feel like we already see. I know I'm not dumb enough to think that a decentralized future is going to be everything, right? Like there's going to be centralized entities that do control, market share in the crypto space. I think Coinbase does a great job. I mean, as long as they're honest and truthful, right? They say they keep the assets 1-to-1. Like as long as they're doing that and they are just holding, giving you the benefit of not having to self-custody and, holding your crypto that you purchased there, and they're not doing things that we saw FTX do, right? They're not misusing customer funds. Then I feel like, centralized exchanges aren't all that bad, right? You could buy Algo on Coinbase, hold it there and be earning 6% APY. Now, yeah, Algo's going down, but in the bull market, that's going to be great for you. But
and as long as everyone understands the risks that they're taking, and the other thing is too, I would say like once like Fidelity starts like getting into the space or whatever, I would bet that some of these exchanges are going to actually be FDIC insured, which then starts to take a little bit of concern away. Although I did read the other day that FDIC insurance is also a bit of a bubble that could pop because the amount of assets they have compared to the liabilities that they're purported to cover. If a domino started falling, the FDIC insurance actually wouldn't be able to pay for everybody. But wouldn't
that be like the biggest like collapse you ever seen in a biggest bank run, and then out of that fallout comes Bitcoin as like true money or something? That would be crazy.
I like to use crypto.com personally, and they just got more certifications. I think they have some of the most certifications out of an exchange. And to me, that means they're putting in their work with governments and with security and protection. So that's the one I use. I don't really use Coinbase like that.
The only reason why I don't use crypto.com is when I saw that they accidentally sent like 300 ETH or something to the wrong address. I was like, no, like it's like, if you can't even make sure you got you're sending that much money in the right spot. And I think Brian Armstrong is a good guy. I think
he brought that mansion. I didn't trust him.
I use Coinbase only because I've been using it since 2016. So it's like, for me, I'm comfortable with it. It's one of the reasons I still use KuCoin too, because I've been using KuCoin since 2017, and I know that gets a little bit of hate, but that's actually like one of my favorite centralized exchanges. And to fully answer that question, like I don't hate centralized exchanges, and I do think they serve a purpose. I just think they should be used as more of a bridge as opposed to the only thing you use. Exactly, like use their some of them have great services. So use those services and then send it back to your wallet or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's how I use them. I send coins to there, I use their services, and I send them back to my wallet.
I even tell rookies do half and half. Because when I started this journey, I would call it practice self-custody. So I would just self-custody a little bit and then trust the exchange a little bit more till I graduated to I just custody my own stuff. So I would go that route. And I'm definitely not against exchanges as well. I just believe you have to be cautious, and especially if you're doing like lockups and stuff like that to earn yields, that's when I'm a little nervous.
And you still have to it's not like, I mean, to even fully, I feel like answer that question, like it's not like decentralized applications are perfect, right? I mean, heck, code can get exploited, right? Funds can get siphoned out, and then there's literally no chance of getting those funds back. Where at least with some centralized entities, if a hack or if some type of exploit, I mean, like in the case of the Gemini earn users or whatever it was, like there's a chance, right, that those customers might get their money back. At FTX, there's a chance you might get your funds back. But like, say AlgoFi gets hacked and on all the funds got siphoned out. I mean, unless some, benevolent VC is like, I really want to protect AlgoFi's credibility, steps up and like refunds everybody, there's a good chance. Or unless some sleuthing can go and actually recover the funds, it's done.
I think this is where those decentralized insurance pools come in. So that's when we're going to see the advent of Nimble and Day by Day. And I mean, those are smaller companies that are trying to start off the trend of decentralized insurance. But you got to think as crypto grows, there'll be some big players like Progressive will probably eventually start offering some sort of like just DeFi insurance in like 4 or 5 years. Exactly. So I think that trend will continue. So overall, I think as the years go on, the crypto space will continue to become less dangerous. There'll be more precautions in place, whether by code, whether by insurance, or whether by regulation.
I can't wait to see the first Allstate crypto commercial with the mayhem. Better protect your crypto. Or
nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide.
All right, fellas. What do you say? It's about 2 minutes past, 3 minutes past the hour on this one. Appreciate everyone that has been really chatting it up in the chat. It's going ham today, boys. I really appreciate
Dan and
that.
Dennis, thanks for joining in. Kurt Wilson, thanks for joining in. Michael Norris, Christian, Jay Gomes. I feel like it's quite a few of you guys. Thanks. So make sure everybody likes and share this video on Twitter or social media so more people can see it.
Absolutely. And subscribe if you haven't already. And you know where to catch us next Wednesday, same time, same place. We'll see you there.
See you, everybody.